Rocks D Xebec is my mic. Damn, yo, I was I'm gonna stop. Rocks is here. And not only is Rocks D Xebec here, but he pulls up with one of the gnarliest feats off screen. One of the gnarliest feats we have ever seen in the entire history of One Piece. And that is 18 years before he's at God Valley. Rocks is coming in with so much energy, so much sauce, so much glaze that you just have to respect it. No matter who you are, you just have to respect it. And what Sengoku said in the ultimate chapter of One Piece, Rocks D Xebec could have been Roger's greatest foe. 2 fingers up. Oh.
It's all coming together.
If Rocks was this nasty 18 years before God Valley, only assuming he got stronger from there. Oh, no. Rocks is the truth. Absolutely, as he should be. It's only going to make, when Oda finally gets to it, it's only going to make the God Valley flashback even better. Now that we know how gnarly Rocks is.
Damn right!
Before I get to the review, I just gotta say this, man. The reason why I think that this final saga so far has been one of the best final saga starts I've seen in a long time is that, yeah, obviously I'm a One Piece diehard fan, duh. But the main reason why is because Oda is tapping into the legacy characters. I've been saying it for a while now, but there are so many characters Oda had in the background, kind of lurking, waiting for the right time to do something, to make a move.
Make a move, Big Blue.
In the final saga, they're doing a lot. These legacy characters are doing a lot. Even though Dragon's looking east still, he still has his boys doing stuff. Garp, Kuzan, Rocks D Xebec. Rocks is so tied to the past generation, the one before Roger's era. He is legacy in of itself. Emu via Gunko. Emu. Oda is making these characters make tidal waves across the entire planet and across the entire fandom. And you love to see it. This is just phenomenal content. Undeniable. And the chapter rating will be high. My brain would be as smooth as a cue ball if I didn't give it a high rating. Obviously, going into this, you should know, and you guys already know by now, when it comes to my chapter reviews, I break it down step by step and piece by piece, with first and foremost the pace and chapter structure, number 1. Number 2 are the character elements of the chapter. And number 3 are the story progression components of the chapter. After all that, we cover it all up with the rating for the chapter, and that's the video. But just like Rocks D Xebec, who could not cover up murdering an admiral 56 years ago, I cannot cover up today's promotion. And a brief word from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Phishing attempts, cyber attacks, all the nasty hoo-ha malware and viruses that are out there in the World Wide Web. You need protection in your day-to-day life. Make sure that when you venture to these insane spots on the web, you are secure. And I know, my anime manga faithful, we go to some crazy, gnarly spots on the web. To each their own, but you do need a shield when you venture off into these dangerous parts of the woods. And let Surfshark VPN be that shield. Not only does it have anti-malware, antivirus features, but also it does have IP changing functionalities wherein which wherever you are, no one will know who you are. So Surfshark VPN can clean all that nasty stuff that is going to try and harm your device, and it doesn't matter which device it is. Whether it's Windows, whether it's Macintosh or Linux, whether it's on your desktop, laptop, phone, iPad, you name it, Surfshark VPN has you covered on all your devices, and it's available in so many different countries across the entire world. And one of the things I do absolutely hate is region gating. And I love how Surfshark VPN can circumnavigate region gating with the region change feature. So there are certain shows, animes, movies that I want to check out that, let's say normally I can't on Netflix, on Hulu, you name it. Well, I can easily change my region, and then voila, I can gain access to that material, to those shows that normally I couldn't gain access to. So if you like what you hear, and you absolutely should, scan this QR code right here, don't be shy, or you can go in the box below to the website surfshark.com/KOL and get 4 extra months off of your purchase of Surfshark VPN. So, lads and ladies, on that note, let us get back to to the video content at hand. So now let's get right into it, step by step and piece by piece for this chapter review. First and foremost, the pace and chapter structure. For this chapter, it was a bit tricky, but overall, I got 4 parts of this chapter. Number 1, you have the sort of narration block where they kind of tell you what's going on with the list of bad events that happens to Elbaf around the time Loki is born. Number 2, you have the sort of resurgence where Harald is back and he brings in the food, the meats and the cheeses and the vegetables. He brings in the nutrients that Elbaf desperately needed because of all the bad luck. Number 3 is the raid that Loki does on the Elbaf village, showcasing in full force his hostile animosity towards the Elbafian village and his father and so on and so forth. But then number 4 is finally him in the underworld, bleeding, crying, truly in despair, runs into Rox D. Xebec at literally one of his lowest points in life. That is it when it comes to the pace and chapter structure. It is a very good for this section, though in terms of structure, I feel like things maybe could have been better, because the way I see it is that you could argue that there's really 7 parts or 8 parts of this chapter, because I could take part 1 and then break it down, let's say 3 parts or 4 parts if I really wanted to. But I decided no need for that per se, and kind of make all one giant block, which I think does work out pretty well nonetheless. So I would say it is very good, though I'm still kind of shaky at some parts of the chapter for structure. I am. Now we get into the character components for this chapter. And first and foremost, we have Loki. Loki, as a newborn, could push down a door that was made for giants. We saw in the last chapter, he could climb up the jewel tree atom from the underworld to the sun realm. That's insane. The bear situation is complicated. We have to wait and see in the future what we actually get for that, because to me it feels like it's not physicality. It's not raw might, raw baby might, rugrat might that ripped off the bear's skull. I think it's an ability that's natural to ancient giants, but I have not gotten that theory just yet. Wait for that. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. And him be able to push down the door that again is made for giants with relative ease is pretty impressive, because you see like the door actually crack and break under the force of his push. It's another baby feat. It's another baby boss feat that we have to mark on the books. He has the best toddler feats in the series of One Piece. Unfortunately, no sunshine or rainbows, because Loki got no love from Estrid at all. And that led to Loki being at a very young age, months old. And mind you, he's a giant. Keep in mind that these guys live for like 300 plus years. Someone like Loki that early on, became so jaded he, as a toddler, had lost all hope for love. That is a crazy realization, because he has 300 more plus years to go in life. That's tragic and sad. Estrid, she is one of the worst parents in One Piece history. After that, though, for Loki, we get to see that at a very young age, he also tamed those monsters in the underworld. And he was also wrapped up with his bandage on his eyes at that early age, too. The end result is that however he did it, through physical force or through his ability, he could tame these super creatures in the underworld. And as a reminder, these creatures are not BITC fill in the rest. No, they are so far from, because they are strong world creatures that Oda kind of revamped for Elbaf. And those creatures are pretty OD. In any other ecosystem, they would be the apex predator, each one of them. The Lord of the Forest or the Lord of the Lake in a Miyazaki film. That's how worthy each one of these monsters is, okay? And then there's one last thing for character for Loki. This one, though, I'm not too sure about, but I'll say it because just in case. When Loki falls from the sun realm to the underworld and he says, I can't even die, and he's crying, well, maybe he actually wanted to self-delete in a similar way to how Kaido wanted to do that when he fell 10K. Though with Loki, it's a lot more heart-wrenching, obviously, considering how young he is. By regular human years, he's pretty young. And then by giant years, he's extremely young, and he wants to do that. That makes it only all the more tragic, obviously. So I did see a comment about this in my reaction upload to this channel for that chapter. I'm not too sure if it's really the case that he was trying to do that. I can see it for sure, but I'm not too sure. But that's what comes to character for Loki, and now we move on to Rox. Literally, that's it. Loki and Rox. Rox D. Xebec. Oh, yeah, let's do this. And I'm gonna start off this way. Rox, his image. Rox is the father of Blackbeard, confirmed. And he looks like Blackbeard mixed in with Okarun from Dadanai, which, by the way, if you don't know, we do episode reactions to those on my Patreon. and of course uploaded onto my Cole-san YouTube channel. Links in the box below for all the reactions, including the One Piece episode reactions on my Patreon. Go there first and foremost. Lovely.
Lovely.
So he has Okaru elements from Dadadan, looking like Blackbeard, all of his teeth, and you can argue sprinkles of Buggy if you know, you know. But most of all, unlike BB, he's skinny. He's skinny. And when I see his fit, he has a very similar fit to Kaido's fit in chapter 973, his old school fit. And Kaido's fit back then was probably inspired via Rox the Xebec himself. We're praying to every deity across land, sea, and air that he will not have the same legs as Kaido. Please? Because you have an overhead shot, so you don't know how proportional his legs are to his upper body. But knowing Oda, I mean, God, woof, I dread it. Rox has aura right now, but all it takes is one side shot. Like, hold on, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. All it takes is one side shot, and then that aura is cooked. Damn. The Mamie here, he wants to know this is Elbath, which it is obviously, and he wants to know where Harald is, which could be a very important detail because there is something that we don't know about Rox that's very important, and that's Rox's treasure. In the God Valley incident, it's mentioned that Rox had a treasure, some kind, that was taken by the Marines. Where that treasure come from in the first place? That may require also another video in the future. What's also a quintessential thing for his character is the fact that Rox killed a Navy headquarters admiral in the Holy Land. 56 years ago, he terminated an admiral. I'm praying to some deity out there. I don't know who. I hope it's a good one, because I'm really trying to not go down a complete admiral tirade right now. I'm gonna save that energy for, you guessed it.
Say it right now.
Oh my God, KingOfLightning. You don't say it. I'm gonna say it. Another video, another day. That day will come quick, I promise you that. Because his energy can't be contained, man. Damn. I was about to do it. Let me focus on just the foundation here, okay? This is one of the best feats on and off screen we've seen in the story. Admirals are very powerful people. Whether or not this admiral was as powerful as, let's say, a Kainu or Greenbow, we have no idea. And when I say Kainu, I mean pre-time skilled Kainu. We know that according to the Cross Guild, at least, they're bound to be 3 bill per. Each admiral is 3 billion. Rox killing one in the Holy Land of all places. How did he get there in the first place? How the fight details, we don't know. But nonetheless, it's still an incredible feat. And this admiral not only failed to get the job done, but they got nicks in the process. So this had the entire Holy Land in a tizzy that an admiral, one of the greatest military assets of the Holy Land, of the world government, was taken out by Rox. So he has a fat bounty on his head. What it is right now, we don't know, but he has a fat bounty on his head because of this one feat and this one feat alone, which makes a lot of sense. I cannot stress to you how insane this, oh my God, how insane this moment is. This reveal is. If Akainu had killed Kuzan instead of actually beat Kuzan, even though the results are Akainu wins, it's a different scale of W, I would argue at least, when you kill the admiral rather than, let's say, beat the admiral, which I think is a fair thing to say. Is it that much more of a scale? I guess it depends on how things play out, per se. There is, though, a difference between the official version and the scan version. The scans say this: Harald spotted this particular man 8 years ago during the read. He single-handedly killed a Navy headquarters admiral and vanished without a trace. This feat earned him a massive bounty and the government's ire. But the official says this: this man, whom Harald met at the Reverie 8 years ago, killed a Navy headquarters admiral and fled. Now the government has placed a heavy bounty on his head. So it doesn't say single-handedly in the official version like it does in the scan version. Does that matter? Probably not. Honestly, God, probably not. But there is that difference there, and it is my job, when it comes to no frills, just analysis, it is my job to let you guys know that that does exist. There is a translation difference. But we'll see in the future how things actually played out, because I'm hoping that they do get to that. I really do. Though at the end of the damn day, no excuses. No excuses, admirals. 0. Now, the story progression components for this chapter. And first off, I'm gonna start off with the cover story, because in the cover story, they mention that Yamato has to pay her respects to the hero who was born in the West Blue and raised in Ringo. Now, we don't know where Mihawk was born, and I really do want to see some evidence that Mihawk went to Wild Country to test his skills out way back when. But that could be me just coping about Mihawk being Wild Country, because I really, really wanted that. However, if it's not Mihawk, then what if it's the Golden Lion Shiki? Now, that may sound crazy, but keep in mind that his two swords, Oto and Kogarashi, are supreme grade blades. And we do see in chapter 965 that Higurashi, she transformed into the Golden Lion Shiki, likely him. And we see Shiki in this chapter with a traditional Japanese garb. So what if he was that person? We'll find next chapter, but what if that was the Golden Lion Shiki? That's a statue of him, and he was raised in Ringo for a period of time, and at some point he got grabbed up by Rocks to join his crew because he was in Wano, and he wanted some strong man because he's trying to build the Rocks pirates as we speak. Maybe Shiki is our boy. I didn't add it for the character element for Rocks because we don't know who cut the mountain that we see at the end of the chapter. You can assume it's Rocks, but it could have been Whitebeard, Stussy, or Shiki. If you have your best bets, then the best bets are going to be either on Rocks or Shiki, and Shiki has the swords. So, because we don't know where he was born either, but it could be revealed now in this chapter that he was born in the West Blue. He did some heroic deeds in Wano Country. That's why Higurashi has his likeness memorized with the Mane fruit, and that's where Yamato is going right now. Could be wrong, but I think it's a cool idea for sure, without a doubt. And I'm a Shiki fanboy, so hey, all the power to Shiki. But now for the chapter itself, we do again see the horrors that happened to Elbaf after Loki was born. We do know that Fallbeard was killed by Big Mom. We also find out that there were these fires, gales, and cold snaps that affected their crops, and poor fishing hauls that resulted of the extreme weather that brought this normally fertile land to the brink of starvation. That's how bad things were in Elbaf. Because it was such a bad place to be in Elbaf for that period of time, folks started going crazy. And they even attacked Ida and Hyruden. Even though they're also suffering, some folks wanted them to take the blame for the current situation on Elbaf. This person who was going to attack Ida and Hyruden was probably a good dude at one point, but because what's going on in the environment, it changed his psyche entirely and he snapped.
Then something just snapped. Something inside of me.
But it's a good thing. Harald, in came Pappy with a serious monkey D punch. Bellamy style. Right to the... He got pot of greeted. Yeah. Thank God for that. In comes Harald to satiate people's hungers, where he brings in the food. He brings in all the meats and cheeses. And you get to see just how good of a diplomat Harald is. And that's despite the odds being against him, which we'll get to later. But the fact that Harald could bring in so many other nation ships, humans, mind you, have smaller proportions for food. They brought him in, and it's enough food for the giants to get through these trying times. That is very impressive. Very impressive on his part to do that. It is sad to say, though, that because he was so focused on those elements, he couldn't be there for his son. When he first sees his son, Loki's all bandaged up around his eyes. Did he ever know about the true nature of his eyes? Because in the last chapter, Esther told the doctors and the servants to keep that quiet. Even from the king? He was born with an affliction of the eyes, I'm afraid. Though he can see, I assure you. The poor lad. Harald, at this point in time, didn't know the truth. That, to me, I think is kind of crazy. I think it's really, really nuts, particularly how good of a king Harald seems to be for Elbaf. And these guys have the audacity to not tell him the truth, even though Esther is long dead. And also we find out, too, the bar that's run by Mato was created and ran by Ida. So what happened to Ida? If she is alive, could she be Mosa? Could she be Shaggy? Though, next chapter could prove me wrong, unless the next chapter she dies because of X, Y, and Z reasons, which would be tragic. And then we find out 56 years ago that there was a murder in the Holy Land that we later on now know is from Rox Xebec's side. But Harald ran into Rox at some point in time when he was in the Holy Land. Harald did what he did to try and build better relations with the Holy Land and the higher ups there and so on and so forth. But Jarul gives him a warning about what has happened in the past and how there is bad blood between the giants of Elbaf and the Holy Land. And he refers to, I think, the ancient kingdom a long time ago. And I believe it's depicted in the mural where we do see an ancient giant that's very similar to Loki, at least. At least I think it's second world, so it happened already. Folks would say it's actually third world, where it's the future. I think it's second world. At least the mural, not the Harley text, but the mural. I think in that mural on the left side, when we see a person with giant horns, ancient giant, I think, charging this dark entity with the sun in its hands. I believe that's what Jarul is referring to when he says it's clear that we had a great enemy at some point in the distant past. But all that history was sunk under the sea one day. The floods covered the continents because of the ancient weapons. That's what Vegapunk said. So Jarul's statements here co-sign Vegapunk's statements about what happened in the Void Century. And then on top of it, he mentions two things that are very interesting. Number one, he mentions these ice giants that were captured and frozen over, disappeared, vanished. Likely, I think the folks that we see in Punk Hazard in that massive hallway where it's frozen over, and you see a variety of larger individuals, really big giants also frozen there too. So when he says that line, I think it could be like referring to Punk Hazard and how at some point in the past, there were giants that were taken, captured. How exactly, we don't know, but the end result was them being, I think, subjected to various testing. Because remember, during Whole Cake Island, Caesar Clown and Big Mom have a conversation in chapter 834 about gigantification and how the entire world for a very long time have been trying to gigantify regular humans into giants. The entire world likely means mostly the world government, yeah, but they have failed to do so time and time and time again. So these guys that frozen over could have been test subjects, unfortunately, way back when. That even before Jarul's time could have been frozen over. However, there's also something he mentions about the Galela Band. Not the Galela Company, the Galela Band. Apparently, according to him, the Galela Band were, and I quote, a group of giant shipwrights, hammer-wielding warriors, right? I thought they were myth. So keep in mind here, Jarul is 400 plus years old. So he was born during like Ryoma's era. That's how old he is. And when he mentions the Galela Band, he mentions not only giants, but ancient giants. Now that's really crazy. You know why? Because so far, we haven't seen a single actual ancient giant in Elbaf. We have folks like Loki, probably Jarul too, people with horns, that have strong ancient giant blood in them, but not actual literal ancient giants like Ors or Ors Jr. They were around in Elbaf centuries prior during the Warland era of Elbaf. So the idea is simple. Ancient giants being a part of this clique probably means that this clique is a very ancient clique. How far ancient is the question. All I'm trying to do is point back to a certain situation that involves a ship needing dire fixing, and that ship named the Noah. Another video. Oh, I said the words. Yeah. Another video, another damn day, because I don't want to yap for too long for this video. But to wrap everything all up, essentially, after the raid that Loki does on the village, where we get to see younger characters, we get to see a younger Gerd, a younger Goldberg, even Stansen, Hydruden's friends, and Loki does get that envy of seeing like mothers protecting their children from his onslaught, and he never got that love at all, right? Things of that sort. So it is sad to say. But again, we get ultimately the introduction of Rock Xebec at the end of it all. And in terms of overall story progression, that is a massive leap forward. That is a giga leap forward just by the introduction of one man and one man alone, officially Blackbeard's father. So the inherited will is now biological in many respects, and it makes Ace versus Blackbeard a lot more meaningful now, considering what happened between Roger and Xebec. I had a video planned a long time ago, like 2017, about the fate of the D clan. I made a thumbnail for it, and again, it was in 2017. I never did that video. I never did it. I had the thumbnail made, but never got to it. I'll probably get to it now, but I'm like, if I made the video back then, I would have looked like Nostradamus. Nostradamus, man. Woo! Ah, damn. This chapter rating overall, I think is a flat out like 9 out of 10. But in terms of hype and importance, 10 out of 10. In terms of in terms of the breakdown and the structure, and in terms of the progression, the elements and so on, you can argue it's 9 out of 10. I think that's a fair rating for sure, without a doubt, at a bare minimum. I want to give it a 10 out of 10 though. I really do, just because of Rocks alone. But you can argue that's not really analysis, that's more frills, it's more like hype, and that's more, oh my God. But at the same time, Rocks means so much for the story. And arguably, based on that and that alone, the chapter should be a 10 out of 10. But when I go back to the chapters I did give a 10 out of 10, it's not just one moment, but it's the totality of those chapters that were perfect. At least a 9. I want to give it a 10. I'll settle for a 9.5 right now, okay? Okay, all right. That's it. I'm going to see you guys later. If you enjoy your boys' video content, give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell to join the notification squad. I'm gonna catch you guys and gals on the flip side.
See you. Bye bye.